Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're gonna go ahead and install my Stillen intakes that I have on the 370Z on the FX. And the main reason that we're doing this is because I'm experiencing an issue where my FX is kind of idling odd. Specifically more when I turn the car on after it's warm. It kind of has like a hesitation, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure why it's doing it. Now I do know when I replaced my valve cover gaskets, I accidentally cracked one of the hoses to the intake. Now I was messing around with it the other day and I decided to like move it around, and I noticed that the car would kind of bog when I would make the hole a little bit bigger where the cut is on the intakes. So I have a reason to believe that this might be my issue, why it's doing that. So instead of just buying intakes for the FX without really knowing what the issue is, I actually want to install my Stillen intakes to see if that fixes it. If it does, then I know that was a problem. If it doesn't, then I'm just gonna have to figure out exactly what's going on with my FX. I have not been able to figure it out for the life of me, because the car performs great, drives amazing, but as soon as I turn it on after it's warm, kind of hesitates, and I don't know why. So let's go ahead and begin removing the intakes. Let me show you what they look like really quick. So here are the intakes that are on my 370Z. They're the ones with the cover right here, and then right here they have the clamps. These are the Stillen Gen2s, which are the shorter one. If this works on the FX, then I would like to just keep these on the FX and then get the Gen2s, or the longer ones, the long tube intakes on the 370Z. That's what I would like to do. So we'll just see how this works. Hopefully it does. If not, I'll just have to figure out what's going on with the FX. But a very straightforward process. You just got to remove the clamp right here to get this part out. Unclip the sensor. Remove this 10 mil right there to get it out. And that's honestly pretty much it, if I'm being honest with you. It's a very easy process to be able to remove these. Alright, so I was installing this left side right here, and I noticed that this part of the like hose that goes right here for the FX is extremely different in size. Look how big this hole is right here in comparison to like this one. See how small that is? This is the size of the Stillen intake, so I would need a hose that I can reroute to there, to the intake directly, which is this part right here. As you can see, even this right there, huge difference. The bigger than this hole's right there. All right, just for some comparison, so here's the one off of the 370Z. Right there you can see the difference in size right there. And then if you compare it to this one right here, there's a huge difference. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm actually gonna grab this one from the Z, put it on here for now, just so we can mount it up. And then after that, then if everything works out, if it works fine, I'll put this back on the Z, and then I'll get different intakes for this car. Just because on the FX, there's a huge difference in like length. The original intakes mount up right here, and the ones on the 370Z only go up to like somewhere in this area, so it's not gonna work. Alright, so here's the side of the intake now installed. Now it fits perfectly right there with this new part I put on there from the Z. And now we just gotta connect this right there. And then here's what I was talking about. There's a huge difference in like how far this goes. As you can see, it doesn't reach anywhere close to this, and it doesn't even reach up there because it's too short to go to one of the other mounting plates right there. So I'm just gonna leave it loose for right now, just so we can test it out and see if it fixes my issue that I'm having. Alright, there you go. This side's fitted. I did have a little bit more issues with like this fitting, especially right here. It's like hitting the box, so it's not sitting properly. I would honestly recommend taking off the box if you plan on like actually keeping these for this car and you got it from a Z, because it's just not gonna fit. As you can see, it's hitting this right here. Good thing it's made of plastic, so it shouldn't mess anything up. That's the only thing I honestly see it hitting. Everything else is clearing. It's not hitting anything else down there. So yeah, I think we should be good. Let's go ahead and turn it on, see if we have any issues. Alright guys, so right now I'm driving the FX with the intakes now installed. I will say that I do actually feel a little bit of a difference when it comes to like the responsiveness, and it just picks up a little bit quicker than how it did with the stock intake. I feel like it does breathe a whole lot better than how it did with the stock ones. When I like push it like almost full throttle, I do hear like the engine growl a little bit more, and it sounds like it's honestly sucking in more air. So I will say that. But if you're just driving around normally like I am right now, and just like a little bit of a push, you won't really hear the difference. But when you push it, that for sure makes a difference in the sound. I kind of have mixed emotions on intakes. I feel like they don't make like a huge difference. I will say they make a difference in sound for sure. Like if you're on the outside, you can for sure hear it. But when it comes to performance, I don't think that they make a huge difference on my car. Maybe if you go with long tube intakes or the 3-inch long tube intakes, I think those will for sure make a difference after a tune. But if you just do these right here, I don't think it'll make too much of a difference, because it's still kind of like in the cabin area where it gets really hot. You would really have to put it like in the front, just like the long tube intakes are. It's right in front of the grill, and it's gonna take all of that fresh cold air in versus a lot of the hot air that's inside of the cabin, which is where you want to kind of put the intakes. Is more in a cold area so it breathes better. But yeah, that's my take on intakes. I would for sure get long tube without a question. The reason I have the shorter ones on my Z is because that's the only mod my car actually came with when I bought it. Everything else was completely stock, so I already had them on the car, which is why it's not something that I've done to the Z. Actually is changing it out. If I got the opportunity to go with long tube intakes, you know, I for sure would, but I'll keep an eye out for those. Alright, so after driving the FX for, I would say maybe close to an hour, because I drove 30 minutes to go to my game, and then 30 minutes back, I actually stopped at the store, and I decided to go ahead and test it out again to see if it would give me that hesitation thing that was going on. I really don't know what it is. Like, it just hesitates when I use my remote start, or even when I go in the car sometimes. If I drive it and I park it for about, let's say, over 15 minutes, I try to turn it on after, it'll kind of like turn on, bog, but then stay on. I don't know what it really is. The reason I wanted to go ahead and install the intakes is to try to rule out the issue of it being the intakes. I really didn't think it would be the intakes, just because it wasn't like a big hole. I've even seen previous cars that I worked on that have holes on their intakes, and they still run with no problems and still turn on. So I really doubted that that would be the problem, and it wasn't. So now I really gotta try to figure out what it is. It could be the ignition coils, and other than that, it could possibly be the fuel pump or the starter. Now, the reason I don't think it's the starter, because it does actually turn on when the car is completely cold. So I'm thinking it has to be something, you know, electronic that's not giving it power once the car is warm. I mean, it could be possible that the starter is going out, and when it gets warm, that's when it affects it. But it could also be the same thing for the ignition coils. Gets hot, you know, doesn't turn on. I already checked all the grounds. They all look fine to me. I even cleaned them. We're still going to keep digging around. I'm most likely just going to put the intakes back on my Z. I did feel a difference in like the responsiveness after putting the intakes on there, but it wasn't like a huge difference where like I would want to really buy aftermarket intakes, especially short Rams. If I were to buy intakes, it would have to be the long tube intakes like Stillen, or even 3-inch, but 3-inch requires a tune. So that's my take on it. It did give it more of that aggressive like growl once you would push it, but driving under normal load feels the same as if it were stock. But that is going to conclude the video, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you guys have any ideas of what my issue could be, maybe you experienced it, let me know. Right now, I'm kind of thinking that it could be the fuel injectors and or The ignition coils, fuel injectors could be clogged, or ignition coils are just old and need to be replaced. But thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.